Good morning. Hello everyone. I'm Chenagala Sonith Yadav, and this is an AAD Tech Talk. And my topic is modeling and analysis of data dependencies in business process for data intensive services. My roll number is 2195 in A67F1, and I'm from CAC Data Science, third semester. And this is a tech talk of my subject, Principles of Data Science. So, getting to the introduction, data intensive services. Data intensive services are services which process large volumes of data to complete complex business goals. With the emergence of big data and rapid development of services, computing techniques, data intensive services have been applied in several aspects, such as data analysis, IoT based intelligent traffic control, multimedia processing, weather forecast, sensor based monitoring systems, etc. A data intensive service can be formulated by a business process which composes a series of atomic services and a predefined interaction relationship. Data intensive services are services which process large volumes of data to complete complex business goals with the emergence of big data, and the rapid development of services. Computing techniques, data-intensive services have been applied in several aspects, such as data analytics, IoT-based intelligent traffic control, multimedia processing, weather forecast, sensor-based monitoring systems, etc. A data-intensive service can be formulated by a business process which composes a series of atomic services and predefined interaction relationship. And this paper, if, oops, in this paper, we make an attempt at filling this gap, aiming at formulating data flows and data dependencies in business processes. We propose a novel data-aware business process model which is able to describe both explicit control flow and implicit data flow. Data dependencies are formulated by linear time. Uh, Data dependencies are formulated by temporal logic, linear time temporal logic. The modeling phase, and then the satisfiability is validated by an automation-based model checking algorithm. A prototype system based on JBPM for data-aware workflow is designed using a model and has been deployed to Beijing King 4 heating management system to validate the flexibility, efficiency, convenience of our approach for massive coding and large scale. Oopsie doopsie bhai. Data aware slash data centric business process models. Okay, we gotta wrap this one faster. Oopsie doopsie. Data aware slash data centric business processing models. A traditional business model emphasizes the control flow and thus is called process centric approach. Although this process centric method has been widely adopted in real life, it cannot reflect the importance of data entity in business processes, resulting in the difficulty of the mapping between process data and underlying database. A typical data-aware modeling approach is artifact-centric, produced by Nigam and Casper in 2003. This approach focused on augmented data records known as business artifacts or simply artifacts. They correspond to key business relevant objects, their life cycles, and operations of these artifacts invoked by services. Furthermore, some researchers explored artifact centric workflow conceptual models, Hull 7 produced a design method of artifact-centric business process and presented the BALSA framework, business artifacts, macro lifestyles, associations, and services. He designed the framework from our four dimensions, which are independent of each other during different design phases. Earth Moon Transit by Tosta. Ah. Despite of existing efforts, Artifact has always been a basic idea for modeling data flow in some data-centric business processes. However, the specifications as well as its detailed implementation are still largely unexplored. Theories, algorithms, tools, and engines could be further studied accordingly. Also, most of the existing researches on Artifact ignore the control flow, which makes it difficult for software engineers and system managers to understand and implement the basic procedures in business processes. Model and framework. Data-aware business process model is known as widely acknowledged as the business process execution needs at least three types of data. Data entity records valuable information for business operations and procedures. It is a key element in business process modeling, which consists of workflow relevant data and workflow application data, and workflow control data is out of scope of the research on data aware business processes. The neglect of process data modeling with dependencies may lead to the incompleteness of process description, and the programmers have to realize data operations at the coding phase, which makes it very difficult to analyze the relationships among data entities. The business process system becomes large scale. The amount of process data will rapidly increase accordingly. Thus, the dependency relationship will become complex. Hence, it is quite time consuming for system developers to implement all data operations at the coding phase. Data aware business processes framework. Uh, Bro, this is so long. Uh, okay. We give detailed procedures for modeling data-aware business process as follows. Step one: the first major step in this data-aware process to extract data entities from large-scale process data, and the data entities model. We should note that data dependency is carefully considered in our modeling. The second step of our approach is to map the process data and persistent data. We bridge the process data between persistent data according to a certain logical rule, which is pre-designed according to detailed requirement analysis. The third step is to bind automatic service to corresponding data entity. In this step, we detail the specification of data operation, including writing and reading, to accomplish the certain business goal of atomic service. Finally, we compose the dynamic services with new procedural business process. Similar to traditional process-centric approach, the framework of our approach for data-aware business modeling It is elemented by figure 1, which can be divided. Figure 1. This is figure 1, guys. Atomic, service, read, binding, write, map, process. Done. Oh, hell, man. Okay, let's get prototype system. With all the definitions and algorithm presented above, we design prototype system in order to advance our approach from theory to engineering application. Since there is no concrete concept of data-aware and data-centric business model, process model, we believe that the implementation of a prototype system may provide both researchers and engineers with better understanding of the development procedures of our model. And further experiments may provide insights about effectiveness and convenience of our approach, design, and implementation. We develop a data-aware workflow prototype system based on JVPM for data-intensive services, which we call data JVPM. In order to support data flow that comes together with a traditional control flow, we remove the DPPM, making it possible to operators to map the process data to persistent data. The detailed architecture of a prototype system is illustrated in Figure 3. The architecture of data GPM can be divided into three layers, that is, resource development layer, a process platform layer, and view layer. Process platform layer is the most important layer in this prototype system, which includes the data entity building module, data entity mapping module, and binding module. All of these modules must be passed by workflow or passing engine. We apply our data GVPM to the maintenance section of paging king for heating system. This is the figure 3, man. That's it. I will keep reading it. Performance evaluation. Booting time. Booting time indicates the efficiency of the system to initialize basic hardware and software components. In our experiment, we could 360 resource consumption start of a system for 10 times and record the time of system to initialize the business processes and overall booting time when the system is ready to accept user requests. The system specific data is shown by table 2 and the release time of process initialization is 353.4 milliseconds and etc etc etc. In this conclusion, in this paper, we jointly consider both the explicit control flow and the implicit data flow in business processes and design a novel data-aware business process model called DAO flow. Besides modeling the data entities themselves, we provide data specifications of data operations which bring the ability of our model to formulate data dependencies. LTL is employed to specify temporal properties of business process, and an automation based model checking algorithm is applied to validate its satisfiability. A data aware workflow prototype system based on JVPM called Data JVPM is developed, which has developed prepared in the Beijing King for rating management system to validate the flexibility, etc. 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 Thank you guys. I'm Chenagala Sonith. This was my AAT Tech Talk. Shut the hell up.